Something happened that day. I don't know what happened that day.
Mike Tyson cancels Jake Paul's fight after doctors warned him with brain damage. Mike Tyson has just done the most unimaginable thing by canceling the July 20th matchup between himself and Jake Paul.
I know the art of fight. I know the art of war. That's all I ever studied. That's why I'm so feared. That's why they feared me when I was in the ring, because I was an annihilator.
It's come as a huge shock all over the world. And while he's gotten some blames for it, some others feel his reasons are profound and worthy enough to quit. Regardless, it has come as a sad news to many who have been following the build-up to one of the most controversial and absurd matches ever. Let's hear him out. The highly anticipated matchup between Iron Mike Tyson and Jake Paul has been at the center of the world of boxing, grabbing the attention of boxing fans all over the world. The return of the baddest man on the planet to the boxing ring has filled the mouths of many ever since the announcement of the bout on July 20th.
Careful on that uppercut.
And there's been no iota of boredom or inactivity associated with the matchup so far, as both boxers have been on their feet to ensure every moment to the build-up sparks up more tension and controversy as regards the match. Even those that have criticized the matchup publicly, showing concerns for the enormous age difference between both athletes, have found themselves interested in the build-up for some unfathomable reasons. One of the many reasons could be the daily uploads of training sessions that Mike Tyson has been doing on social media.
Day 4, no, it was okay.
His training sessions have restored beliefs among many that the Mike Tyson of the 80s and 90s is no different from the Mike Tyson that'll mount the ring on July 20th. However, just when fans were getting acquainted with the daily training videos of Mike Tyson and were finding reasons to get excited about the build-up to the bout between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, the baddest man on the planet has broken the most heartbreaking news.
I know the art of fight. I know the art of war. That's all I ever studied. That's why I'm so feared. That's why they feared me when I was in the ring, because I was an...
Unlike the frenzy created by his recent announcements, this time, his announcement has dashed many hopes and broken countless hearts. The most recent update about the matchup between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul has been met by raised eyebrows and countless questions from supporters and professionals alike. It has brought so much sorrow to the risk-takers and more peace to the paranoid. Sadly, Mike Tyson has announced the cancellation of a match that was set to welcome him back to the boxing ring and become the first live sporting event that'll be streamed on Netflix. The match has been tipped by many to generate millions of dollars, with Jake Paul famously calling it the biggest fight of the 21st century and his very first match at the AT&T Stadium, the home of Dallas Cowboys. Jake Paul has been looking forward to facing the former undisputed world heavyweight champion in just the 11th fight of his boxing career. He's been looking to do the worst to the baddest man on the planet, though many felt the matchup was a lose-lose situation for Jake Paul. His loss or victory mattered less against a man old enough to be his father. But just when he got the final chance to fight a match he long desired, there's been a major mishap. In the build-up, Mike Tyson has been talked about more, with the match set to be his 59th match and one that'll bring him back to the boxing ring after almost 2 decades away. However, with Mike Tyson's latest announcement, every plan and arrangement is set to be canceled with immediate effect. Painfully announcing his decision, Tyson said, "I apologize to everyone that may feel disappointed at my message this time, but I've decided to cancel the match between I and Jake Paul." Mike Tyson then stated the reasons for his decision and continued, "I am making this decision because of the recent advice from the doctor as regards my health. Yeah, you may want to ask why I fixed this matchup at all if I had always dealt with my health. I just didn't think my health would deteriorate so much that it would end up in this. I've been fine. You could see from the training sessions how fit and capable I've been. I was getting back to my very best self. It usually takes consistency to do that, and I've really been on track. I've been super consistent. My body is great, but sadly, this has come up." Tyson then explained how much assurance he's had to give those he's got a decent relationship with, and how his loved ones have been handling news about his decision to return to the ring against Jake Paul. Many of them have been fearful and unsupportive of his risky decision. However, they insisted that he got cleared by a doctor if he wanted their support for a match that wasn't looking like an exhibition any longer. He said, "Trust me, I've done so much tests, I've had multiple scans, and I've been under so much pressure from my family and friends since this fight was looking like a professional bout. I've been forced to run tests and do so much to ensure my fitness even if I felt I could get in shape and take him on. And after doing all of that, I've been advised by a few doctors not to fight. They claim I'm not so much in trouble. I'm not sick. I'm actually fine. But there could be problems and risks if I go ahead and take him on. And it's wiser to prevent than to cure. This kind of things aren't strange to boxers. We get so much punches in the head and it affects the brain. It affects everything about us. But I'm better. I don't feel any pain. It's just an internal thing, and I've got to be careful with how I carry my head." Before ending with some apologies, Tyson then made a slight joke. "It's good also, knowing that when I return to the boxing gym and I do sparring sessions, I would be the only one hitting. I now have a good reason not to be hit." He sent apologies once more and claimed he felt so ready for the fight even after the doctor's report. "I'm really sorry for this. I know many of you have been looking forward to July 20th, and sadly, I have to do this. I still feel so fit. I feel I can still box. My trainings have been great. My speed and power are still in there. I feel so confident going into the match. I really want to end the problems caused by the problem child. I want to end his career as quickly as I could. But sadly, he's a lucky guy that this is happening. He has the age advantage, and that's a disadvantage for me. That disadvantage is why I can't compete. Even if I deal with him, it's normal to receive a few punches from your opponent too, and that may affect my brain."
So you want them to miss, and when they miss, that's your opportunity.
Absolutely. Sometimes you can punch while he's punching, you can throw boom at the same time. As he's punching, boom, you go down.
He then went on to assure the fans that there was no cause for alarm. "I want you all to know that this isn't something so serious. It's just a precaution. I don't have any damage or anything. It's just risky to fight a professional match at this point. And I'll do more scans and be better. If only I could store my brain in a safe place and get on this fight without it, I would. I'm as sad as y'all are about this. I know. Mike Tyson was right. Despite many initially finding it questionable and absurd, supporters and professionals were beginning to get accustomed to the reality of having Mike Tyson back in the ring 19 years after reality. And just after they were adapting to what's come as a shocking news, Mike Tyson has come with a more shocking news. People like Joe Rogan and Francis, who have tipped the baddest man on the planet for a huge knockout victory, will be sad about this news. While those who have similar opinions with the likes of Oscar De La Hoya and Dana White would find this news pleasurable, as they have never been supportive of Iron Mike's return. In response to the announcement from Mike Tyson, a fan said, "I never wanted your return anyways. The risk of that match was way greater than the benefits. And I'm glad Jake Paul can go wail like the crybaby he is and face his reality as a YouTuber. I hope you stay safe, legend." Another fan didn't find Tyson's news impressive and labeled this as the most inconsistent version of Mike Tyson. "I don't know what gets into the head of old men. Are we sure it's not even the brain damage that made him accept this matchup? Because why on earth would he do that? Tyson has been so inconsistent lately. He's wanting to be everywhere at every time, but this man's retired. He's lost most of what he's got, and I don't even blame him." An obvious supporter of Jake also quipped, "Is the legend jumping out of this? He probably saw Jake Paul's clips and fled. Jake Paul's good, but he's even better at beating older men, and Tyson won't be an exception, trust me." A neutral person gave a comprehensive contribution to the discussion. He said, "I feel this is both good and bad news for boxing. As much as the match was controversial, it was become the match to watch. It was a big deal for all parties, Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, and Netflix. It's very sad for all three that what they've been making so much efforts to push has crumbled. But on the good side, only Mike Tyson benefits from this. But Mike's legendary enough to do this and be lauded for it. For the sake of a legend's well-being, it's worth it. I'm sure Jake Paul would have been eaten up if he dared this." Another social media user added, I just knew something was wrong about this matchup. It was looking too odd to be true. I hope Mike Tyson stays safe and Jake Paul gets back to his chaotic life on YouTube. I've had a feeling Tyson would win if it held. I just felt it was going to be a major upset. But I'm not sure he can risk any punches to his head right now. Athletes, boxers especially, just have this good time where everything is around them, and it becomes bad and they're all alone. With more safety, athletes will be safer.
Careful on that uppercut.
Day 4, no, it was okay.
However, one thing is certain, in just a little while, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul have given to the world of boxing one of the briefest and most interesting build-ups to a matchup before this news switched the narrative. This came after a professional doctor sent a serious health warning to Mike Tyson ahead of his proposed fight with Jake Paul in July. Due to the huge age gap and the fact Iron Mike is now nearly 60, the doctor doesn't think the fight is a good idea and has highlighted the dangers of the fight taking place. This followed Jake Paul's denial of claims about the two boxers wearing head guards for the fight. Jake Paul strongly denied any rumors of any protective rules being added to his bout against Mike Tyson in July. And as a result of the dangers, doctors have warned that Mike Tyson's health could be in serious danger due to the fight taking place and the drastic age difference between the two competitors. In a furious social media post, Jake Paul responded to a TikTok video that claimed the boxers would wear headgear and that Jake and his brother Logan Paul were going to tag team against Mike Tyson. Paul went on to say, "If you believe that you're a F idiot and you shouldn't be allowed to vote, you shouldn't be allowed to drive on the streets and endanger other people." The stem of the rumors are likely as a result of the widespread concerns for the health and well-being of a 58-year-old entering the ring with a 27-year-old. In an article for The Conversation, a senior lecturer in medicine at Anglia Ruskin University, Stephen Hughes, highlighted that Tyson is at risk of suffering a tearing of the veins in his brain, known as a subdural hematoma. Hughes explained, "Bleeding from these torn veins causes a collection of blood that presses on the brain. This causes confusion, loss of consciousness, neurological disability, and, in some cases, death. I recall a patient, a boxer who had previously sustained a subdural hematoma and had a physical disability and terrible depression. These were devastating permanent effects. According to Hughes, the immediate effects may be minimal, and the boxer may recover sometimes, and at other times, the effects may be more damaging." He went on to say that as people age, these veins become more vulnerable, while an accelerating factor of this is alcoholism, something that Mike Tyson has openly suffered with in the past. A subdural hematoma can occur. In this condition, shearing forces cause tearing of bridging veins between the brain and blood vessels within the brain coverings, or meninges. Bleeding from these torn veins causes a collection of blood that presses on the brain. This causes confusion, loss of consciousness, neurological disability, and, in some cases, death. In older people, the brain tends to lose volume. This lengthens the bridging veins and makes them more vulnerable to rupture. Alcoholism is known to accelerate brain shrinkage, and it appears that Tyson has this as a past risk factor. Shearing forces on the brain cause injury to neurons' brain cells. Another major cause of fear has been an injury that forces Tyson into using crutches just about a year ago. And despite Mike Tyson's trainer, Rafael Cordero, coming out to explain that it was no cause for worry, only a few were unmoved by it. In his interview, Cordero explained the back pain and how it all started. "Mike's had back pain since he was a kid," Cordero said. "We're always looking after his back in training. He moves a lot to the side, and that takes a toll. And since he travels a lot, he was using the crutches to help him stand straight after long flights."
And so it's a great team. It's a great team. I'm super excited. It's a professional team. It's not something that just like going to be entertainment. No, it's going to be a fight. This is why we truly believe in our area. The way I train Mike is the same way I train my boys.
Mike Tyson must have made this decision, seeing many boxers have brain issues before their death, and at such age, it is wiser to reduce the amount of risks he takes. Mike Tyson's hero, Muhammad Ali, died of an ailment related to the brain that was said to have been showing symptoms before his retirement. For much of his career, boxing great Muhammad Ali was convinced that his brain wouldn't be affected by the thousands of powerful, crippling blows he received from his opponents. Ali's style was quite different and strange. Often he'd be seen motivating his opponent to throw more punches at him, believing they would eventually get tired from doing so. Then after their tiredness, he'll come striking. Jonathan Ige, who wrote a biography of the boxing legend, said, "He kept saying it wasn't going to happen to him, that he wasn't going to get brain damage. In fact, he encouraged his sparring partners to hit him in the head. He believed he could build up resistance to shots to the head, kind of like calluses." With an all-encompassing focus on his private and public lifestyle, Ige chronicled the life of the three-time heavyweight champion whom, he said, Ali made people really rethink what it meant to be an athlete. He changed the country and the world. There had never been an African-American athlete who spoke up the way he did and demanded to be treated as more than an entertainer. However, it was Ali's struggle with neurological damage, painstakingly detailed by Ige, that remains very applicable in relation to Mike Tyson today. In an effort to pin down exactly when the boxer first began to exhibit symptoms of brain damage, Jonathan Ige interviewed speech scientists, statisticians, and even Ali's longtime doctor, Ferdy Pacheco. According to Ige, Ferdy, Ali's doctor, told me that he thought he first saw signs of real brain damage as early as 1971, when he was 29, after Ali's fight with Joe Frazier, said Ige. Together with two statisticians, Ige reviewed footage of all of Ali's fights and determined that he was probably hit about 200,000 times during the course of his 61-fight career, which ended with his retirement in 1981. Roughly half of those blows, he estimated, were to the head. He absorbed way more blows than the average fighter because, as he got older and slower, part of his strategy was to allow his opponents to him. He thought he could wear down his opponents by letting them punch him in the head, then wait until the late rounds when they're tired and beat them. Ige also studied film and video footage of Ali's numerous interviews with speech experts that revealed he had begun to lose the ability to speak clearly in the early 1970s, exactly as Pacheco had told him. Ige explained, "We studied Ali's speech patterns over the years, and you could see Ferdy was right," says Ige. His voice was slowing down and turning softer and softer, and with every fight, it grew worse and worse. Between 1970 and 1980, he'd begun speaking 26% slower, and you can see that after individual fights, his speech rate would decline, then begin to recover until he'd fight again. Then it would go back down. By 1977, Pacheco, Ali's doctor, was so concerned about Ali's condition that he recommended Ali retire from the sport. The physician ended up leaving the boxer's camp when he refused. A few years after his retirement, Ali was diagnosed with a cluster of symptoms that resembled Parkinson's disease, known as Parkinson's syndrome, which his doctor believed were caused by numerous blows to the head. When he took his medications, it helped control his shaking, but as the years passed, he got slower and slower, and then his voice disappeared as he began to have more bouts with infections and pneumonia. In his final years, Ali found it increasingly difficult to get out of the house, but loved to Skype with his grandchildren and watch himself on YouTube. Ige claimed Ali's end was a sad decline after his death in 2016 at the age of 74. Regardless of his brain complications, however, Ali was always seen saying that given the same set of choices, he'd repeat his decision to be a boxer. Boxing seemed to give him life, and he found such fulfillment in no other thing. Mike Tyson, though receiving far lesser punches than Ali, especially with his fondness for knockout victories, will be looking to learn from any of Ali's mistakes and avoid them like a plague. One of such mistakes is underestimating precautionary advice from medical experts. Like Ali, Tyson has been advised to quit any form of professional bout, as his brain could be at risk of a great damage. While July the 20th of May not be feasible anymore, there's still so much more to come from the world of boxing. If you enjoyed watching this video, kindly react by clicking the like button. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channels and turn on notifications to keep being updated on the latest news in the world of boxing.